What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Hope everyone had a really good weekend. I tell you what, man, it was relaxing for me. Had some great weather, hung out, grilled out a couple of times. Yeah, it was a good day. Good weekend. Good weekend. Watched a lot of the combine, saw some stuff. Yeah, man, it was a good weekend for old Big B, just relaxing. But keeping my eye on my Pittsburgh Steelers like always, man. Never taking my eye off the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we got some stuff to cover today, ladies and gentlemen. First things first, Isaac Seumalo and Kenneth Gainwell are likely going to be gone in free agency. I know at least Gainwell part of it, that's not what people are wanting to hear. That's not what they like. But that is just the facts because he's going to get some money thrown at him, and the Steelers aren't going to match that. It doesn't make sense to match that high number and have that much money wrapped up in two running backs. It doesn't make sense. Next, do the Steelers move up in the draft at number 21 for defense? That's the thing. Do the Steelers move up to take a defensive player? The one thing is, I would say probably 70% of Pittsburgh Steelers fans' heads would explode if the Steelers moved up in the draft and then took a defensive player. However, after the combine, does it make sense? We'll talk about that a little bit. And then Broderick Jones' future, ladies and gentlemen, yike. There's some new words out as far as Broderick Jones, and it is not good. None of it is good, ladies and gentlemen, as far as Broderick Jones and what's going on with him. So the future with Broderick is definitely in doubt. So we'll discuss that a little bit more. So appreciate everybody getting up this morning, man. I see some of our members are in here. Miss Christine, what's going on? Diamond is in the house. Kirk Hastings, what's going on, man? Appreciate everybody getting up with us this morning. Like I said, Fading Velocity became a new member. What's going on, Fading? We appreciate you, man. Thank you. Again, as always, our man Rob Bates is up with us this morning. What's going on? Members always get their comments and questions up on the screen. But if you do want to get your comment or question up on the screen, you know how to do that. Super chats are wide open if you want to help support the channel that way. You can also become a member and help support the channel as well. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Isaac Seumalo, I don't think there's anybody out there that thought that Isaac Seumalo was coming back. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that the Steelers were going to move on from Isaac Seumalo. But now the word on the street is that our main man, Kenneth Gainwell, is going to be gone as well. Now that didn't necessarily want to hear, but it is what it is. And the reason being for Gainwell is that, you know, he's going to get some money in free agency, and it's going to be more than what the Steelers are willing to stomach. And while I know a lot of people are saying, no, we got to have him, you got to bring him back. It's like, man, if somebody's going to pay him 3 years, $18-20 million, it doesn't make sense for the Steelers to do that. You know, you can't wrap up that much money with two positions or in one position with two different people. It doesn't make sense for that. You know, like I said, I know that's not what fans necessarily want to hear, but you start digging into what he actually did for the Steelers. I'm not saying it's a bad thing what he did, but I just don't think that that's something that the Steelers can do. You know, if he's going to command $6-7 million on the free agent market, the Steelers got to let him walk. And then you got to go out, okay, can you bring in a free agent from somewhere? More than likely, the Steelers are going to go into the draft and draft somebody that can do the things that Kenneth Gainwell does. That's what I would say probably needs to happen. And again, we're screaming about taking more offensive players. If you can get younger and cheaper, and maybe you don't get the same kind of production, but you can get somewhere close. Remember, we also have Caleb Johnson on the roster, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not forget that. So if you can do those things, then I think the Steelers have to do that. I've been screaming the last couple of off seasons about offensive guard. I just think the Steelers at some point got to make a move and solidify that position. So that's the difference. So I don't know. I I feel like the Kenneth Gainwell deal. Like last week, we talked about it at 4.9 million. We could stomach that. 6.9, the Steelers can't stomach that and shouldn't. And we as fans shouldn't either. Again, I'm not telling anybody how to fan, but you can't. For me, it doesn't make sense for the Steelers to throw that kind of money around. And you see it right there. Kenneth Gainwell is set to hit free agency. Javonte Williams got a big deal. Now, granted, he was the lead back in Dallas, but I don't think Gainwell is going to get, I think the number is going to be more than what the Steelers are going to be able to stomach. Now, if it's the $3 to $4 million range for 1 or 2 years, well, then that's a different conversation. I just don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be more, and he's going to go. So I think it's going to be more, and he's going to hightail it out of here. And as well he should, as well he should. So, but that's the whole thing. And I'm with you, Mike. I want him back, but if it's going to be costly, then we got to move on. And like I said, I think the Steelers are going to look into the draft. I don't even think the Steelers are going to bring in a free agent. You got Caleb Johnson. Let's roll with him. And then bring in go draft a guy and go that route. Because there's some running backs out there that you could probably get late third, early fourth that are going to help you. Maybe even fifth round that can help the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got to look at that. And again, you've got a guy. It's not like Jaylen Warren is chopped liver. And I think sometimes because of how we used him last year, some might think, well, Jaylen Warren isn't that good. No, I think he's fine. Do we need other guys? Sure we do. But there's some players out there that can absolutely help the Pittsburgh Steelers in this draft. So you got to look at that route and go that route. Go get you a guy. You can't have 15, 16, 18 million dollars wrapped up in the running back room with two people. No. That's when we talk about spending money on offense, that's not what we're talking about, man. If you want to wrap that up in the wide receiver room, that would be something different. But you can't wrap that up in the running back room when you could probably get close to the same type of production based on who's your roster if you had a rookie or two on in the backfield with you. And that's what you have to look at. So I would love to have Gainwell back. I think he could help us, but not at that price. Not $5, $7, $6, $7, $8 million a year. Absolutely not. So more than likely he's going to be gone. The same with Isaac Seumalo. I'm not mad at Isaac. It's not that I think he's a bad player. I think the Steelers need to move on from that, though. And look, if we went to solidify other positions, why shouldn't left guard be another one that we look to try to solidify, especially in the draft? In the first 2 rounds, if the Steelers don't do it in free agency, which is looking more and more like they're not going to, I'm okay with that. But in the first 2 rounds of the draft, the Steelers got to look there. Me and Big G have been screaming about Vega. I finally got Big G over to wanting to take Vega because he wasn't wanting to look at it. And I'm like, man, maybe take a peek at his tape. And he thinks we got to take Vega no matter what. He's convinced we got to move up. So, he went from not even wanting Vega to now the Steelers need to move up. If you can go up to 15 to get him. And I'm like, all right, G, hold on. So I just think that you got to look, the Steelers are going to move on from Seumalo. It's not that he can't play anymore, but Seumalo is going to miss 3 games. He's missed 3 games or more the last couple of years. He's probably going to miss 4 or 5 games. He's not going to do anything in training camp. He hadn't done that the last 2 seasons. And he's a little older. At some point, if you solidified everything else on the line, or you're trying to anyway, then left guard has to be a priority as well. No sense in just leaving that position out. There's no reason for that. So, and I think the Steelers, I think they're in the neighborhood or in the ballpark of trying to do that. So I think we're trying to get that figured out. Mark Malone said Big G hasn't been right since Smith went to OSU. You're right, man. I had to convince him about Vega. His frame of mind hadn't been right. You're right, Mark Malone. His frame of mind has not been right, man. I had to get Big G back on the train, man. I had to get Big G back on the train. Now, this is a good possibility right here. Feel that the Ravens are going to get Vega. It is. That's why Big G is saying you got to move up, is because the Ravens are picking at 14. The Ravens need a left guard. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. So, but if he gets past that, then you got an opportunity. But there's other guards. It's not only Vega. I don't want to just think that, well, if we don't get him, we can't find a guard. That's not true. There are some other guards that are out there that the Steelers can absolutely take in the first 2 rounds of this draft. Maybe not as good as him, but still really good football players. So we got to take all of this into consideration. So, but we'll see. We'll see. But Siamalu and Kenneth Gainwell, for me, I think they're both going to be out of here. And look, it happens every year. You lose free agents. You got to prioritize certain things. You can't pay everybody, and you got to spend the money wisely. The Steelers got a bunch of money, but that's the difference. Just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean you just go willy-nilly with it and give it or throw it to anybody, and that's the whole thing. Another thing to keep in mind is, the whole Alec Pierce thing, going from the Steelers signing him with big money and going after him. Well, that kind of got shot down this weekend. The Colts general manager came out and said Alec Pierce is going to be a Colt in 2026. Whether they get a deal done or whether they sign him as a franchise tag, Alec Pierce is going to be with the Indianapolis Colts in 2026. So all of us, me, you, G, everybody that was screaming Alec Pierce, yeah, it's time to put that on the back burner because the Colts have come out and said, nope, he ain't going anywhere. Sometimes that's part of the problem with free agency, man. We get so excited about who could possibly be out there. And then when we start talking about it, next thing you know, it's like, I don't know why you guys were even talking about it. This guy's not going anywhere. And that's basically what the Colts general manager has said, is that in 2026, he is going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers. So, or not a Pittsburgh Steeler, but an Indianapolis Colt, excuse me. So, yuck. Miss Christine says, Big B, I've been getting grief because I keep saying Herbig is going to go too. What do you think? Well, Herbig's in the situation where he doesn't hold any of the cards. It's kind of like Alec Pierce, kind of like, George Pickens. Herbig holds no cards. This is the last year of his deal. He can sit out all of the offseason stuff. He can do all of that, but he better come back ready to play when he does come back because he's got money on the line. So he'll probably sit out if the Steelers don't get a long-term deal done with him. He can't, I want to trade. Well, we're not going to trade you. Because, matter of fact, for the next 3 years, if we want to, we hold your rights for the next 3 years. So you can't go anywhere. And what I mean by that is he's under the last year of his contract now. If the Steelers want to franchise him for the next 2 seasons, they can do that. So a lot of people talking about Herbig saying that, well, he can just ask out. Well, you can ask all you want. I can tell you no. Because I control your rights. If you want to play in the National Football League, if I don't want to let you go for the next 3 seasons, the Pittsburgh Steelers could literally say, no, if you're going to play in the National Football League, you're playing here. So keep that in mind when we think that Herbig is trying to leave. He may want to leave. And the Steelers may come to the realization of, you know what? If we can get a second round pick for him, okay, we'll do that. But if you can't get a second round pick for Nick Herbig, it doesn't make sense for you to allow him to leave. You're not going to get a first round for him. Let's live in reality. But if you could get a second, okay, then maybe the Steelers think, all right, let's go ahead and take another second and let Herbig walk. The person that you would probably think that needs to walk would be Alex Highsmith. Makes more money. He's older. So if it came down between those two, Highsmith would be the guy that gets traded. But again, you're looking for a second or a third round pick. If you could get that, okay, maybe you talk. But I don't think you let Herbig go. So I don't think you let Herbig do anything. It's just, if you want Nick Herbig to be on your football team, you figure out a way to make him happy and just keep him there. So that's the whole thing. You just figure out a way and just keep him around. So Z with a comment said, thought we wanted volunteers, not hostages. Trade them. Herbig hasn't asked for a trade. Let's not jump on the bash Nick Herbig train, man. He hasn't asked for that. This is all hypothetical. So let's not go overboard and go berserk with we're just going to bash him. We're not doing that. We're not going to do that. He hasn't asked for a trade. So he hasn't asked for a trade at all. So I don't want to talk you into something, Mr. Z. I don't want to talk you into that, man. He hasn't asked for a trade. So Lonzo Dunn with the super chat. He said, I love Herbig, but franchise tags cause bitterness. First of all, I don't think you should put a but in front of that. You are 1,000,000% correct. Franchise tags cause people to be pissed off because they want long-term future. And while you get the big price tag for 1 year, guys on their second contract are trying to make generational wealth if they can. That is the whole goal. You get a rookie deal, you perform well, you get the second contract that sets you up for the rest of your life. That's what they're trying to get to. You can now, granted, to me and you, somebody that gets $20 million, you should be set up for the rest of your life. I get that. At the same time, it's if you could get 120, wouldn't you take 120 over 20? That's all I'm saying. Is that yes, $20 million is a shit ton of money. But if I can get 120 million, I would be more inclined to take the 120. So Zoe, you're 100% right on all of it. The franchise tags suck, but then again, I don't necessarily blame owners for using it because guess who negotiated franchise tags? It was the players union. The players union wanted less practice time and not enough practice with pads and all these things. Hey, we need to slow down on the practice time. We need to slow down on how many practices we have in pads. Okay, fine. You can have that, but you're also going to have the franchise tag. Players decided that was okay. Now they want to bitch about it. I don't want to hear it. It's kind of like Cam Hayward last year. You negotiated a bad deal, and now you want the Steelers to bail you out. It's not their responsibility to bail you out of a bad deal, okay? Same thing with the players. It's not even I am pro player. I am always pro player, but it's got to make sense. Don't negotiate bad deals. You don't want a bad deal, don't negotiate one. That's the way I look at it. It's just like me. I can't negotiate a bad car deal and then all of a sudden be mad that I'm in one and want the dealership to bail me out. No, can't do it. Same thing here. But don't get me wrong, the franchise tag sucks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It absolutely sucks. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So, it's absolutely terrible. And Mike, you're not lying about this. Since they demanded less practice time, injuries have increased. It's because you're not used to beating and banging on people during the week. Pause. And because of that, more injuries. It's just a fact. So it is what it is. So either way, it's free agency. I can't wait for it to start. What do we got, a week till legal tampering? We got a week until all that starts. Today's the 2nd. We literally, next Monday, legal tampering. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Because we're going to find out a lot from the Pittsburgh Steelers on what can and can't be done. So we're going to find out a lot as far as what's going on. Zoe with another super chat says, speaking of Cam, what's with him? I don't know. What do you mean, Zoe? What do you mean? Like, is he coming back? I think Joey Porter Jr. spilled the beans on that. That Cam had surgery on his knee, got his knee fixed, and it seems like he's coming back. He hadn't said that he wasn't. So I assume so. But I mean, unless there's something that somebody else knows. I haven't heard anything about Cam not coming back. He basically said that he was. So, I think he's going to be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think the Steelers are going to end up, because I think this will be his last year. I think the Steelers, right before camp, are going to end up giving him a pay increase, just giving him a 1-year deal for probably $22 million and move on. I think they will do that. You won't hear about it until late. He's not going to, at least I don't think he's going to sit out or anything like that. But I just think right before the season starts, you're going to hear about Cam getting a pay increase and giving him about $22 million, something of that nature for 1 year, and that's it. So that's what I think anyway. So that's where I believe. That's where I'm at with it. But let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Z-Man, I'm so ready for free agency. I am too, bro. I am too, man. I'm ready. I'm ready. So do the Steelers move up in the draft to take defense? And when I say move up, I'm talking about moving up from number 21. In the second and third round, maneuvering and doing all that stuff. Clearly, you could do it there. I'm talking about at number 21, do the Steelers move up? We saw a lot of stuff at the combine this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We saw a lot of big numbers from defensive guys. We saw a lot of good performances. We know the Steelers are going to need an inside linebacker. We know it. They need a corner. We know it. We need a safety. We know it. We need a D tackle, a nose tackle. Do the Steelers move up? Now, the first one, or I should say the last one, talking about D tackle or nose tackle, you're not moving up from 21 to do that. Okay, so I want to eliminate that out of anybody's mind right now. If the Steelers move up from 21 to take a nose tackle, they're not even trying, and we need to fire everybody. Lord have mercy. They wouldn't even be trying. They wouldn't be trying. But the thing about it is that do you say, what if the draft goes a certain way and there's a run on tackles and there's a run on wide receivers, and then at number 17, you got Sonny Styles sitting right there? Do the Steelers go from 21 to 17 to take him? Now, you saw what he did at the combine. You saw what he looks like playing for Ohio State. So he's not just a workout warrior, because I'm the first person to tell you, I am very leery of workout warriors. I'm very leery. When I watch tape and I see okay play, and then all of a sudden I don't see, then all of a sudden, they look at their test numbers, and I'm like, yeah, man, but I also watched them play college football, and it was just okay. I'm supposed to believe that all of a sudden that okay play is going to get better in the National Football League against better players? Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And how many times have we seen that where it doesn't work out? Plenty of times. The Cincinnati Bengals are dealing with one right now. Shamar Stewart had, 4 sacks in 3 years? And would they take him at like 19? 4 sacks in 3 years, and you think that it's going to get better in the National Football League? Lord, I just 4 sacks. He had 4 more sacks than I did, and we both played college football, and I haven't played college football in almost 35 years. So 4 sacks, and that was who you thought you should take at number 19. Get the hell out of here. And by the way, I played offensive line, not defensive line. He had 4 more than I did. 4. Unbelievable. Super chat by Mr. Alonzo Dunn said, hope we move up to top 10 and get a new anchor for life. Green dot linebacker. Man, I don't know. Here's the thing. Now, it's not that I'm opposed to moving up. What I'm opposed to is moving up and sacrificing so much. Because if the Steelers moved up from 21 to 10, you're going to have, obviously, you're giving up 21 first round pick this year. You're going to have to give up your first round pick next year and probably a second or a third round pick in this draft, too. That's a lot. That is a ton. And if you do that for a middle linebacker, I don't know, man. Didn't we do that already with Devin Bush? Now, granted, Devin Bush, after a couple stops and stinking with the Steelers after he got hurt and a couple stops, Devin Bush was a really good football player this year, wasn't he? And he's going to end up getting paid this year in free agency as a linebacker. But that was down the road a ways. And so the Steelers didn't see the payback on that investment, but that's a ton to give up. You know, that is a ton. However, if it does work out, then what do you got? You got your middle linebacker for the next decade. So there's a risk, but you know what? At some point, don't you got to start taking some risks? The Steelers haven't taken real risk in how long, and it's never panned out. Isn't that what we've been asking for from the Steelers? Get out of doing shit the old Steeler way. Stop being so conservative. Move up. Take chances. Take risk. Oh, by the way, Big B, you've been telling us all along, how do you get better? You got picks and money. Well, let's use some of these picks to move up. Isn't that what we got the picks for? We can't take 12 draft picks, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to do that. You know, I've said it over and over again. If the Steelers take 12 draft picks, Omar Khan should be fired an hour later. You got to use these picks to your advantage. 12 guys aren't making the damn football team. So use the picks. Move up. Get yourself access to better football players. Do that. So, you know, and it's going to be a risk sometimes. It's going to be a risk. It doesn't always pan out. But for me, I would rather take a chance at trying to get access to a better football player than just sit back and hope that something happens. Nah, man, you can't sit back and hope. You can't even do that in life. I'm just going to sit back and hope that something happens versus going out and making something happen. Steelers got to do that. Diamond says that we moved up for Broderick and he was a bust. The difference is that Broderick Jones was a project football player and everybody knew it. So if you're going to move up for a project, that's the difference between moving up for a project and moving up for a proven guy that can come in and be the guy immediately. Huge difference. Huge difference. So keep that in mind. CID says, can't move up sacrificing a first-round pick next year when we need that QB. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. It's like, you can do that, but yeah, you go from 21 to 10, you're giving up your first-round pick next year. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if you can do that if you want, but you're not going to get a quarterback. And maybe the Steelers don't want one. I mean, it doesn't 70% of the fan base want Will Howard to be the franchise future? Well, if you do you want a quarterback next year? I'm just asking questions. Don't be mad at me. Don't get mad. I'm just asking questions. I'm just trying to stir the pot a little bit. That's all I'm doing. Don't get mad. I'm just stirring the pot a little because I see Miss Christine. I see the flames coming out of her eyeballs right now that I said that. That's all. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions, man. So that's all. That's all. Don't get mad. So Diamond says, can we get both Allers and Talon day 2 and 3? I mean, Talon Green, I know he had a good combo. This is what I'm talking about as far as being a workout warrior. He can't throw a 5-yard slant pass. Why do we want that guy to be our quarterback? Because he ran fast and he jumped high? Okay, I don't care if my quarterback can't run, if he runs a 7-flat 40. If he can process the information quickly, get the ball to where it needs to be, have good ball placement, get us in and out of the right play, give me that over a guy that can run it. He can run a 2-flat 40. But if you can't throw a 5-yard slant pattern, why do I want you? No. I don't want it. I don't want it. Aller, people are talking about him. Okay. Later on, okay. So we'll see. What's going on, Mike? Appreciate you tuning in from work, brother. Green equals Richardson, says Topaz. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The only difference is that Green had a bunch of snaps in college. He had a bunch of starts. Anthony Richardson didn't. So I would be I don't think Anthony Richardson can play quarterback in the National Football League. I would be willing to give him a chance to, like, if the Steelers traded a 7th-round pick for him, I'd be willing to do that and have him sit and learn and compete, because the guy never really got a shot to learn the quarterback position. It was, even at Florida, oh, this guy's a great athlete. Let's just throw him out there. We're not going to teach him the position of quarterback, the fine, tune positions. We're not going to do any of that. What we are going to do, we're just going to throw him out there and see if he can play. Well, he can't play. He didn't figure it out. Okay, well, he stinks. We're going to put him on the bench without giving him the proper coaching and giving him an opportunity to actually learn the position. Taylon Green out of Arkansas, he played under Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino knows how to coach quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. And not only that, he's had a lot of college snaps. A lot. Mechanics are absolute nightmare. Accuracy, a nightmare. Like, he never got better. So that's the difference. Well, I don't disagree with you. That's the difference. Mike, my man Mike in Texas. I know you were enjoying that weather this weekend, Mike. He says, I don't think the majority are calling for Howard to be the future. They just want him to have the shot this year. And if he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, then great. I mean, what's the difference? Why does he deserve a shot? Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. All I'm saying is I'm just not in the mode of giving people chances just because they're on our football team. He hasn't earned an opportunity to get a chance. 6th-round picks don't get the opportunity. Now, you could say, well, just because he's a 6th-round pick doesn't mean he can't play. I get that. But the reason that he was a 6th-round pick is because of some of the things on how he plays. His arm isn't the greatest. It's good enough. Okay? But his mechanics are not good. His off-target throws, when he has to throw on the run, he's terrible. But what he is really good at is processing information. You're never going to confuse Will Howard of not knowing what to do. You're never going to confuse him of that. You're not going to fool Will Howard. The guy's super smart. But I'm just not sure that's the guy that you say, okay, we'll just give him a chance. No. I'm just not in that camp. I'm not in that camp. But it is what it is. I've said it all along. Give the guy some competition. If he wins, he wins. If he wins, he wins. And I'll be all for it. So, Miss Christine disagrees with you, Mike. He says, it seems like everyone's wanting Howard to be the future. They're riding that crazy train. That's what I've seen. I've seen everybody saying, Will Howard, give him a chance. He's the future. He can do it. And I just But now this I also agree with Mike in Texas. Will Howard is a project, which is why I say people that are saying, well, take Drew Aller in the 4th round. I'm like, well, if Drew Aller is a project, why would we take him? We already have a project. And that's why I said, be careful, people, because if the Steelers take a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round in this draft, that will tell you everything that you need to know about what they believe in Will Howard. So I just want to caution the people that love Will Howard and think that he's the future. I just want to caution you that if the Steelers take a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round, they are telling you, we don't believe in Will Howard. We don't think that he can be the future of this franchise. It's pretty much that simple. So Jordan says, Big B, if you were in Omar's shoes, what QB you taking in which round? Well, again, if it were me, I'm doing the evaluating. I take that quarterback this year in the 4th or 5th round. Y'all know my feelings about Will Howard. And then I try to bring in Malik Willis and give him a 2-year deal, see if he can be the guy. If he can't be the guy this year, great. Then we got to battle for the backup QB job between 2 young guys. Let them battle it out. See whoever, and if Willis sucks, we'll know by half the season. Throw the other guy in there, see what they got, and go from there. So Rodgers sat for 2 or 3 years, right? Howard will get his shot next year, most likely. Aaron Rodgers' talent and Will Howard's talent is not even remotely the same, Torsia. You can't compare the two. Can't compare the two. I mean, it is not even remote. Aaron Rodgers' athleticism and his arm talent were light years better than what Will Howard's was. Light years better. So, can't compare those two. That's not fair to Will Howard. Yeah, that's not fair to him. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's move on, people. Then we got to talk about this because this is now this is becoming very, very concerning at this point. Broderick Jones' future with the Steelers, which I misspelled future, is now starting to become very, very in desperate need. It was reported that Broderick Jones had fusion surgery after his neck injury, ladies and gentlemen. That's not – look, people have come back from fusion surgery. I'm not saying that that it can't. I'm not saying that it's impossible for Broderick Jones to come back from fusion surgery. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that's not the likely scenario. Not only is it not the likely scenario, it may not even be a scenario where Broderick Jones wants to play football anymore. You know, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I just that's troubling. That's troubling as far as Broderick Jones. You know, if he can play, I think he will. If you know, if they tell him that all the risks are off the table, then I think he gives it another shot. But if they don't tell him that all the risks are off the table, matter of fact, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm like, look, man, we're going to make you sign every waiver under the sun to come out here and play football. But do you even really want to risk it? So, I don't know. That's not a good sign. But I said it at the time. So, I said it at the time, and you guys will remember. I said, I think Broderick's hurt worse than what they're letting on. I said, because I saw the way he got hurt. That didn't look like no stinger, man. I've seen stingers. I'm like, that don't look like a stinger. That looks like something bad that happened, you know? And it was. So I don't know, man. He's so young. And he's got the tools. It's just he never had the motor to put it all together. And, I don't know. I just feel bad. But what I do want, I want for Broderick to, I want him to be healthy. I want him to be healthy and be able to walk around. Damn playing football. I just want him to be healthy to be able to walk around. If he can do that, I'll be happy. You know. Now, getting him back to play football is an added bonus. So, but other than that, yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man. So, that's not good news. Yeah, he's hurt. And here's the thing. And Miss Christine, you said you feel like a turd head. No, you don't have to feel like that. Like I said, there wasn't a person on the internet in the Steelers fan base that was harder on Broderick Jones than I was. I took pride in that, saying, man, I see the talent. I see it, but he doesn't give it to us. His motor is bad. So I was one of those people like, I'm not going to stop talking about this because he can do it. He just doesn't. He doesn't give the effort. I see the ability, but he doesn't give the effort. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't feel bad about him being hurt. And two things can be true. It sucks that he got hurt this bad. Also, it sucks that he never panned out. And some of the reasons he didn't pan out, that was on him. So I hope he's okay, though. I hope he is okay. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. That's a good point. The Steelers are going to cut Calvin Anderson. And Torsha is like, that's why I hate that we may cut Anderson. We need all the help we can get at tackle right now. We can cut him after preseason. Here's the whole thing about Calvin Anderson. He can't play. And the Steelers can go out there and go find another guy. Heck, you can cut Calvin Anderson right now, and you could probably be able to sign him right before the season after training camp because Calvin Anderson can't play. We've seen him out on the football field. He can't play. So I would much rather the Steelers draft a tackle. If they're not going to do it early to draft a starter, go do it in the 4th or 5th round and bring that guy in. See if he can play before I sign Calvin Anderson back. Because we've seen him on the field. He can't play. He just can't play. So what's going on, Fading Set? I'm glad you're here, man. So I'm glad you're here. You started working on Mondays. But we're going to keep doing our thing, man. Appreciate you showing up. KTB says the Chiefs cut their tackle today. So there's talent out there. Well, and that's true. The Chiefs did cut Juwan Taylor. First of all, he's a right tackle. But Juwan Taylor, I don't even think he's not even a swing tackle, man. I don't want Juwan Taylor. Look, I used to live in Kansas City. I lived there for 11 years, so I know a ton of Chiefs fans. My wife is a diehard Chiefs fan, so I watch Chiefs games from time to time. Yeah, we don't want him. We don't want him. I would take just who we have right now over Juwan Taylor. He's not good. Because, again, there's a reason. I know the price tag is wild, but they could restructure his deal if they really wanted him, but he hasn't been good. So, hasn't been good. Zoe with Super Chat says, Shazier keeps coming to mind, but football requires attention all the time. Can't chat, listening, no. Broderick can't play, lazy. You're right. That's the thing. We don't like that Broderick is hurt. We don't like it at all. But we can tell the truth about what we saw from Broderick Jones. It wasn't good enough. I called him a bust. I'm not backing off of that. Wasn't good enough. So, wasn't good enough. So that's the thing. Wasn't good enough. And we moved up to get him, but he was a project. And here's the thing. He was a project. We didn't have a coaching staff that was capable of coaching projects. Not at that position anyway. So, not at that position. Topaz, I didn't know he had fusion surgery either. I knew he had something, and I knew it was way more serious than what they were trying to tell us. Because, again, when they said he had a stinger and then immediately he's on the IR, I'm like, nobody goes on the IR for a stinger. Okay? A stinger sometimes goes away in 10 minutes, and you go right back onto the football field. So that's why I'm like, a stinger, like this man doesn't have a stinger. The way that he fell, I'm like, that's not stinger. That's not what happened. So, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's too bad. But it's concerning. And now, what do you do at 21? Do the Steelers take a tackle? Or do you just say, nope, Dylan Cook's our guy? I mean, 4 starts. That's all we got. What do? Do you say Dylan Cook? Or do you go get a guy? Before, me, I'm always O-line, O-line, O-line. I don't know. I think I'm under I think I give Dylan Cook a chance. Again, you don't have to give him some crazy deal. You know, you don't have to sign him for 5 years, $80 million. You could sign him for 2 years, $12 million, guarantee him 8, and move on. And then if he's not good, you can always get a tackle in next year's draft. But I think that's the move. I think that is the move. So I think that's the move right there, is that you do it. I think you just you stick with Dylan Cook. Because again, he had good tape. There ain't no doubt about that. Minus the Houston game. And again, it wasn't every snap in the Houston game. But minus the Houston game, he had good tape. He did. He had good tape. So, and there it is. Camilla says Lomu or Proctor are left tackles, but how early are they going to be gone? Well, I think you could get Proctor at 21. I don't like Proctor at left tackle in the National Football League, people. I'm sorry. At 366 pounds in college, I mean, he's not going to get lighter in the National Football League. I don't think you can do that. I think Proctor is going to end up being a guard. I don't think he's going to end up being a left tackle in the National Football League. That's just me. So it's not that I don't think he can play. I think he can be a hell of a guard. But 366? Come on. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I just think he's too big to be a tackle. I think these outside pass rushers would have a field day. And he's athletic, though. So I don't want you to hear me say, oh, well, he's unathletic because he's big. No, he's not. He's athletic. I just think if he could lose 20 pounds and keep the 20 pounds off, okay, then we got something to work with. But how many times have you seen a guy in the National Football League on the offensive line lose weight and keep the weight off to play? Like, how often have you seen that? If anything, you see guys get bigger. Okay, so yeah, if he's 366 right now, what, he gonna play at 380 in 5 years? Come on, no. He's a guard. So at least that's my opinion. I think he's a guard. So, but that's what we got, man. The combine was interesting this weekend. Something else to keep in mind, I'm sure me and Big G will talk about this on the big show tomorrow, is that Tate, Ohio State wide receiver, ran a 4.53, ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still a great route runner, outstanding hands, understands coverages, can get in and out of breaks. But you know how the combine is. 4.53. How many 4.53 guys you see at wide receiver get taken in the top 10 picks? Could be a good thing for the Steelers. Could be. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So that he could drop. He could drop. And if that's the case, who knows what the wide receiver position looks like then? So, yeah, Mr. Z. 366 minus 20 pounds is still a big MF. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But at least you're a little lighter. At least you start out lighter. At least you start lighter. You don't start at 366 and get to 386. Jesus. That's too much. That's too much. So the mullet kid from Iowa, he looked good out there. He looked good. There's a lot of speed on the field in the combine this weekend. There's a lot of guys running. A lot of guys running hard, man. So Cooper and Bernard, I'm with you, Kenneth Jones. That's who I want. That's exactly who I want. I want Omar Cooper Jr. and Bernard out of Alabama. If we can get those two kids, I'll be happy. I'd be happy. I've said it from the beginning. I don't think the Steelers need to move up to draft a wide receiver because there are wide receivers all over this draft. First, second, third round, you are going to get you – if you want two good wide receivers, you're going to be able to get him in this draft in the first 3 rounds. Good wide receiver. Not, okay, he could come in and maybe he could do something. And I know what you're thinking 3rd round. Well, look at Roman Wilson. Not the same deal. I'm just saying, no reason for the Steelers to move up to draft a wide receiver. Absolutely no reason. There are plenty that you can get in the first 3 rounds that can come in and start for you immediately. So let's not think that, oh, well, we gotta move up. We gotta get one of the top guys. Otherwise, we're missing out. Yeah, we may miss out on the top guy, but we're not missing out on a bona fide NFL starter. We're not gonna miss out on that. That's to keep in mind. That's what we keep in mind. Jason, it's not even 9 days until free agency. It's only a week. A week until the what is it called? The legal tampering period. So we're going to know. I know you can't sign people until the 11th, but the legal tampering period, you can get a deal done. So we're only a week away. Hell, at midnight next week at this time, we're going to know a lot. And I can't wait. I can't wait because we can put to bed some of this stuff and we can find out exactly what the Steelers think, where they're going. Because up to this point, it's been a ton of rumors. Well, we won't have to worry about a lot of those rumors after this. You know, we can figure out what the Steelers want, where they're going, who they spent money on, who they want to keep, who they didn't want to keep. We're going to know. This next week's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy. Lot to talk about, people. So I appreciate it. That's what I got for you guys today, man. Thank you guys, as always, for showing up. Tomorrow, make sure you guys are here. Same time. We will be here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, talking Steelers football. And then, you know, we got the big show tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Me and Big G, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys being here, and aloha.